Leaving the ego aside, in sales, ego is the enemy of greatness because if you cannot grasp the concept that sales are all about helping the client and not about you, then you'll not be successful. Having an ego in business and in sales, it's all about wanting to be perceived as the best. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing bad with being the best. But there is something off with wanting to be recognized as the best when it's all about you and you don't put your clients first. And let's not forget the difference between being perceived and actually being the best. Perception, it's not always reality. Of course, it's important to be yourself and to showcase your true personality in front of a client because you want to build a genuine relationship with them. But there is a fine line between expressing your personality and coming across as self-centered. Let's be clear. Having your ego present in sales doesn't mean that you want to outsell every other person or your competition. And it doesn't mean that you want to hustle every hour of every day to get that new client. Because that is not always ego. That can be real drive and hard work. But when your ego is present, it simply means that you are unable to listen, you are unable to learn, you are unable to act or to adapt in the sales process often because of your pride. Like I said, wanting new clients and doing your best to crush your goals and to become the best you can be, it's amazing. But only if it doesn't have to come at the expense of everyone else around you, especially your clients. The egocentric way of getting there is to put yourself up on a pedestal and ignore everyone else and their opinions. That is wrong. An egocentric mindset in general, but especially while putting aside your integrity and getting against the moral compass, goes completely in the opposite direction of what we talked about previously in the course from the beginning, that sales are all about helping others. Please understand that the ego, it's not about sales. The ego, it's all about that person. Having your ego stroked means that you and you alone feel smart and important, which is good, but you have to do it on a basis. It's the ultimate form of personal gratification. In that case, every question is asked, every point is addressed, and every pitch is delivered with only one end goal, and that is to make a sale so you can pat yourself on the back and make yourself feel better because, like I said, the presence of your ego makes you think about you and you alone. However, there's also another aspect to consider. Do you know who else has an ego? Everybody, each one of us, your clients, your potential clients. Everything I just said about your ego applies to their ego too. And what happens when you go to buy something and the salesperson talks and acts like it wants to make you feel that you are only half as smart as they are, or you are only half as competent to install that computer or whatever it is that they're selling to you as they would be. Are you going to still buy from them? Or are you going to just gather enough information and walk away as fast as you can, making your purchase somewhere else with somebody else? Please remember that this situation can only happen if a salesperson forgets why they're there and what their job really is. And that is to serve clients and to help them find answers and solutions to whatever problem they've had when they entered the store or when they came to your meeting. The good news is, like I said, we all have egos, including the most fabulous salespeople in the world. And the fact that they don't let their egos come in the way when they sell means that you can also learn to check your ego at the door when you sell as well. Let me say that the number one and easiest way of realizing that your ego is present when you are meeting with a client, it's to pay attention to the way you react when you hear the word no regarding to whatever you have to offer. Bottom line is, it's not healthy to take every no personally. A friend, a family member, or a potential client may say no to what you are offering anytime. And that's because of their own personal reasons. They may or may not have anything to do with you or your product. That doesn't mean that they are saying no to you as a person. So don't take it personal. In my opinion, those people who have been told no to a sales offer and they take it personally, even if they are the ones who made that product or created that service, that shows a sign of personal insecurities and uncertainty in their own selves and products. They usually take it as a personal shot at their selling abilities and even get to the point where they assume that their potential client think poorly of them. But that is not the case. A healthy response to a no answer would be to own it and to learn from it. Also, it would be helpful to consider what made them say no in the first place, and if there's something that you can do to improve that pitch to get them to say yes. The bottom line is this: don't take every no personally and don't get discouraged when you don't close every single prospect. Every no you get, it's another opportunity to learn and to grow moving forward. Also, don't get defensive when selling. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are on a Zoom call with a potential client and you just gave what you consider to be a great pitch. It's the same pitch that you've delivered hundreds of times before and it garnered good results for you. So you're just waiting for them to say yes. And suddenly, instead of yes, they give you a big fat, not right now, or thank you for the presentation, but I just have to go. So they dismiss your pitch. When later you ask them why they gave you that answer, they say that the pitch you presented didn't quite resonate with them. They found you a little annoying and too persistent, so they're quite direct telling you why. That feedback can be a big shot to the ego of many prideful people, like a slap on the face. What is your natural reaction to that? Is it a time to defend yourself? Is it a time to protect your pitch, your credibility, or your competency? No. Taking the self-centered approach and protecting your own ego at all costs will only burn that bridge with that client forever. Confronting a potential client and having a conflict with the person because of hanging up too fast or for rejecting your offer in that moment will cut all the chances for you to ever get that sale. It happens that what you consider to be the best sales pitch does not resonate always with 100% of the people you present it to. And it would be good to be aware of that possibility and to check your ego at the door from the start. Just because your pitch didn't resonate or the prospect isn't ready to buy, it doesn't always mean that you did something wrong and they're taking a personal shot at you by saying no. A strategy can be to prepare different versions of pitches and different comebacks for any potential response, because the key is to learn from the rejections and not to immediately assume it's just the prospect saying, I'm not getting it during your pitch. In the course, we have a full lecture on how to create the most efficient elevator pitch, and I'm sure that will help you. Also, stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Your ego wants you to see each person that you interact with as someone who could potentially be better than you. better than you at sales, better than you in the coaching industry, better than you at everything. And if someone is better than you at something, your first instinct may be to dislike them. You would feel better if they get worse at sales or at coaching or at parenting or at baking or whatever else that you perceive them they're doing well enough to be better than you. Because if they stumble, all of the sudden there is one less person better than you. And if you can climb that ladder of talent, surely the clients you're selling to will see that. Many people think like that, but that's not true. The truth is that if you only see others as competition or as stepping stones in the quest to pet your own ego, you'll wind up leaving a negative energy trail and a bad impression in the eyes of most people you will interact with. Please know that you don't need to compare yourself to the people around you, and you don't need to become someone else just because their numbers are looking better than yours at the moment. There is plenty of space for everybody. And besides, in sales, authenticity is the key. But if you want to grow, you would instead focus on how you can learn from them, from your perceived competition, and even help them grow as well. If someone else has been crushing it lately, doing really good, talk to them about what's been working so well for them. But don't approach the conversation as a way to unlock their secrets so you can steal them. Don't use people like that for your own ego. Instead, you can approach them ready to learn, but also with things to offer in exchange so you can both grow together. And remember this, whoever doesn't like you, it's not going to like you no matter what you do or you don't do. If you let every single negative review and response from others, from strangers in general, to bring you down, your sales or your business or your career might not be as long and as successful as you're hoping. Also, if you are constantly looking over your shoulder at how the other person next to you is doing, you'll miss great opportunities that are right in front of you. So, don't let your ego lead the way, and every time you get knocked down or you hear a no, see that as an opportunity to get better prepared for the next round.